Good afternoon, and welcome to episode 3 of BrickKicker, a session today with myself, Andrew Fox, president of the BrickKicker Inspection Services, and Rob Claus, our national director of commercial, as well as our go-to technical resource, aka walking encyclopedia, here to talk to us about safety this week. And this is a topic I know we as a company are very proud of. We take a lot of pride in being safe and in teaching safe. And Rob is probably the most passionate on the team about safety. So when it comes to just overall everything we do day in and day out and the dangers that come with it. So, I'm sitting out here in my truck, Rob, looking at a beautiful thunderstorm rolling in. It's a great time to talk about safety.
I do, and it's funny because in our pre-show meeting, I said, wait a minute, you're in your car, you want to do video? That's not very safe. And you said, no, I'm parked. So that's safety first, safety second, safety third. It's just safety is always in my mind when it comes to anything that we do.
Yeah, I felt the parking and observing a cemetery in the middle of a thunderstorm would be a perfect background for our conversation today. So,
well, your neighbors are quiet.
Yep, that I can appreciate.
so it's funny.
So what is safe today in today's world? I mean,
nothing.
Today is exactly.
Nothing. And it's funny when let's get the elephant out of the room. First, I am passionate about safety, and I am the one with the most recent injury. Knock on wood. Hopefully we don't have another one for a long time. I fell last year on a roof. I didn't fall off a roof. I'm very safe, with my ladder placements. We'll talk about all that in the call. But I fell while walking on a flat roof because it was so slippery. I just flat out lost my footing, flipped over, and shattered my wrist. And it took October, November, December, January. It took a good solid 4 months for me to be well enough to be out there doing inspections. And so for a home inspector or any type of inspector out there, you have to think safety every minute of the day.
And thinking, that is a huge understatement, really, because as a business owner, when you have your most valuable employee with a broken wrist, who's running an entire department and relied upon in multiple fashions, that's a blow to any operation. Whether you're a one-man shop, if you're a one-man shop, that closes your operation, I would think. But a business like ours and the responsibilities you carry, it's a substantial blow.
Well, I was lucky enough that in my position and the team that we've got created, I never missed a day of work during the whole thing, but I was only able to work part of the time. We never missed a call. We never missed a meeting.
Yep.
But you're right. If you're a one-man shop and you go down, you're a no-man shop, and your family has to suffer. So the number one, and if you remember that day, the single number one most important safety tool that all of us carry, besides that big muscle behind our eyes and between our ears, the single number one safety tool that we all carry has to be our cell phone. Period. Yeah. Done. It's also the most dangerous tool we carry, because of distractions.
Yeah.
Texting while driving, calling distracted, all those things. But having that cell phone, I called you while I was still on the roof.
Yeah, it was cold out, rainy out, and here you managed to fall, break your wrist, find your phone without glasses, pick it up, and attempt to get a hold of us in the office. That was quite the day. That's for
You know,
sure.
you know, so having that cell phone, because you think about it, as an inspector, you safely place your ladder up against the building. Safely meaning good surface, level surface, dry surface, some method. And I'll have to excuse me while I take a sip of water. The allergy season is upon us.
Yeah, that is for
And,
certain.
and so you do all those things. Your ladder is perfectly positioned, 3 rungs above the roof, 72.5-degree angle. You get up there, but you didn't secure your ladder to the building. Either the gutter, the soffit side of the building, something.
Mhm.
And the wind comes and blows it away, or some knucklehead bumps it and knocks it down. You're stuck on the roof. And if you work alone, what are you going to do? You're going to shout? What are you going to do? You're going to use your cell phone. You're going to call for help. Whether you're going to call a colleague, a family member, the non-emergency number to the fire department, somebody.
Yep.
I've had to call before, Andrew. I've called a realtor and said, "Hey, it's Rob. Rob who? Rob the inspector. Remember me? Oh yeah.
I'm
Where are
stuck.
you at? Well, I'm up on the roof and I need a little bit of help.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
yeah, and we had a franchise that was stuck on a balcony. No, I think it was about a year ago. He got locked out of a home and stuck on the balcony. He had to get a way to shimmy down the building. So yeah,
yeah,
you're
yes.
right.
So it starts with your cell phone. It also starts with your schedule. Have other people know your schedule. For years, I shared my schedule with my wife. So every bit of everything I did all day long, she knew where I was at. A, in case she has a problem and needs to get a hold of me. But B, she knows where I'm at, so that if I give her, a quick text on a hot day like today, today was, it's typical end of May Chicago weather. It's about to storm, but it was 88 degrees. And those attics are 140 degrees. So if I send her a quick text, Andrew, and say, going into the attic, if she doesn't hear back from me in 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, she should be texting me. And if I don't respond, we have discussed this in our training amongst ourselves. She calls 911 and has my address.
Yeah.
She can ping my phone because if I don't respond back to her, then she knows that I succumbed to heat or bumped my head on a collar tie or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I've done that, Andrew, before I go into crawl spaces and before I go into attics. Because again, as you said at the beginning of this session, we all work alone. And so somebody has to have our back.
Yeah, and how many times are you doing an inspection and no one's there? Or maybe someone's there and it's just a big enough house. They're not engaged. They go upstairs. You're down about to go in a crawl space. So you've got to let people know. And, we'd encourage them to do the same thing when they're living in the home is to, even when you're going checking out your crawl space or your attic, just let someone know.
Yeah.
You don't want to be Clark Griswold stuck up in the attic on a nice cold pre-Christmas afternoon.
Well, I had to laugh because I prepare for these calls. I do careful research. Our audience might not know that but last night in my preparation for the call, I was watching Deadliest Catch, which happens to be my Tuesday night routine this time of year. And one of the crew members went into the walk-in freezer, and their particular walk-in freezer did not have an internal latch, which is, I don't want to say code, but it's kind of required and important. This guy was caught in there for an hour and a half.
Oh,
they couldn't find him. They're on a ship. You're thinking the guy got washed overboard. And finally, they said, well, you couldn't hear. Well, you're next to the diesel engines and all that other stuff. So you're right, Andrew. You got to speak up. You gotta let everybody know. If when I'm working alone, I'm going to tell people, because this is a communication business. I'm going into the crawl space now.
Yep.
Everybody.
Say it with me.
Please, well, you know what, for those home inspectors listening, one of those neat things you can do is, I'm going into the crawl space now. Can you do me this favor and go into the master bedroom and flush the toilet? Because if you're down there, you can see it.
Yeah.
And then if when I bang on the joist 3 times, turn the shower on. And when I bang on the joist 4 times, go to the other bathroom. And then now you're engaged. And they're your safety. Because if you have a problem, you can scream and holler and they're going to call 911. So that's the first bit of safety that I wanted to talk about is use your cell phone. Let everybody know your schedule. If you're a one-man shop, that's you're going to be out there. This is a dangerous business. Home inspectors lose their lives every year. We don't want to talk about it, but they do. It happens.
Yep. And that's, technology, the one thing that gets overlooked in all of this is the fact that our scheduling platform is electronic and it sends out a confirmation email to all involved parties, buyer's agent, listing agent, and client. That is also a fail-safe because the days of writing your schedule down on paper and just showing up, no one's going to have a paper trail where you've been or where you're at. So, so inspectors or anybody listening that hasn't considered upgrading, there's a small little detail like that has a consequence that you don't even think of, and that's safety.
You're right. And when I get my email confirmation, or as soon as the job is scheduled in my calendar, I just instantly go, because it links, and we'll use a trade name. It links to my Google Calendar. We all know what those are. Yep. And that Google Calendar I just share with my wife. And so it also helps in our family communication, because she never has to go, well, do you have can you help me? Can you do this? Did you look at the calendar? Yeah. Is it empty? Yeah. I can do it. Count me in. No, I can't. I'm booked up. Sorry. So it works. Moving on, falls, it have to be a very common issue. With the falls, the interesting conversation we always have, when we have a new BrickKicker come on board, is if you're a single man operation, you can't purchase workers' comp insurance. You can't until you have employees, and only employees are covered, not owners. So the interesting thing is that doesn't mean you can't buy a disability insurance. And so when I had years ago my own inspection company, I had a disability insurance, short-term and long-term disability. It was cheap, comparatively speaking, and it's based on your income. And that was always the peace of mind that if I got disabled or if I got hurt, I wasn't going to miss a paycheck. And my family is still going to be able to eat, because I have a family of eaters in my house, and so they're used to 3 squares a day, and so I wanted to make sure. It probably cost me $70-$90 a month, but that was well worth the peace of mind, compared to the consequences that could happen later. So, and I think that's just as much a safety tool as anything else that we talk about.
And that should be one of the first tools for anybody getting into this type of business to consider. It's, we're consultants is what we try to push for, is just being that consultative, that communicator. But our job is dangerous. So we're touching many, we were talking about this earlier. There's so many aspects about our job that you wouldn't think would be dangerous, but truly are. And without a policy to protect you or your family, I don't know how you could sleep at night. It's tough.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're large enough at the BrickKicker that that it's all taken care of because we're a corporation. But you're a one man shop. People don't think about that, and we're most of the inspectors that launch into this business and into this arena are pretty hand to mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not running budgets and they're not running forecasts and they're oh good. We did 10 inspections this week. Next week we might have 5, and there's no fail safe that goes on between those.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not prepared. But when you think about moving back to safety, ladders, you have to begin your safety conversation with having the right ladder for the job. There's so many inspectors that'll show up with the wrong ladder. It's and what I mean by that is they might have an A-frame ladder that they're trying to get up to a roof, in such an angle that there's no way in the wide world of sports they're going to do it safely.
Yeah.
Or they have a telescopic ladder that is they're trying to use to go up into an attic, and they're trying to shimmy it up in some weird angle. So both of those types of ladders have their place, but that doesn't mean that they're all encompassing and do it all. And so you really need to begin with choose your ladder intelligently and have the ladder be the proper size to support you, the inspector, not other things. So you need to make sure that you have your right ladder for the job and the right size ladder for your body frame and makeup. If you're a bigger person, then you need to have a bigger ladder. If you're a smaller person, then you can get away with a smaller ladder. And it's just that simple. And we'll let that kind of play out and have that conversation internally amongst our listeners. The other thing is the ladder needs to be used safely. It can't be broken. It can't be, once the ladder is broken, it's supposed to be thrown away. If there's any type of damage whatsoever, it's supposed to be thrown away and destroyed. I went to a seminar years and years ago, and the seminar talked about ladders. And if it's broken and you throw it in like the garbage, and somebody grabs out of the garbage and gets hurt, then you're still responsible for that ladder because you didn't destroy it. Well, I kind of have a little bit of problem with that, but that is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's right. I don't know if they're like fingerprinting those things or what, but yeah. It's
when you're the contractor that stencils your name on it.
Yeah.
You kind of let the world know that that's still your ladder. 5 owners later, type of thing. So being careful with that is important. The ladder should be placed on a dry, solid surface. I've had ladders slip on me. I had one ladder slip on me on wet asphalt. It was a perfectly dry, wet or flat asphalt driveway, but because it was moist out, it slipped like ice, and so that ladder fell. I had another one fall on me. Again, this is 30 plus years of doing this. It's going to happen. I had a ladder fall on a February inspection because the ground was thawing. So where I thought the frost was solid, I put it in a good spot. As I was up on the roof, the ground was thawing just that fast, and so it became a little soupy. And so as I came down, I could feel the base of my ladder getting a little frisky. And so that's when you want to get on the phone or call down to somebody, especially if your client's there, and say, "Hey, do me a favor, put your foot on that ladder and hold it." I know inspectors that bring small spikes that they can put in the ground and spike their ladder so it doesn't slide. I carry a rope. Since I do all these commercial jobs, I've either got the big ladder, the middle ladder, the telescopic ladder, or my normal articulating ladder. I carry rope with me. I have one rope that I put up and hook to, or a bungee and hooked to the parapet or the coping. I have another one that I can tie off the bottom rungs of the ladder to a downspout, a bollard, the side of the building. I've hooked it to the tire of my car on angles, so just to keep it from sliding, because I don't want to be the statistic.
Yeah. Speaking of stats, I was just kind of looking up. Each year, the World Health Organization is indicated that the United States leads the world in ladder deaths each year, with 164,000 emergency room visits related to ladders and 300 deaths last year just from falling off a ladder.
Wow, I believe it. And your ladder fall could be 4 foot. It could be 3 foot. It could be 32 foot. Human beings we're not designed to bounce.
No.
We kind of thud a little bit and crunch a little bit. So ladder falls. Then when you move on, you think of what are the other things that are problematic in a home. Well, right now we're all on this heightened sense of health and communicable and I don't want to say transmission or disease, but of transmission of the COVID-19. Well, with that, a lot of us are wearing booties, slipping and falling. I actually have ceramic tile on the floor of my kitchen, and if I walk in stocking feet or bare feet, I gotta shuffle because it is so slippery. I got to replace these tiles. It's like walking on ice just to go in and get a glass of ice water. And so when you put booties on hardwood floors and tile floors, they're slippery. And so that's where I always encourage inspectors to actually don't wear the booties. Wear separate shoes, or have booties that have some form of non-skid, slip-resistant bases.
You got some pretty cool rubber grip reusables that I've seen you wear. That's pretty cool. Keeps you feet planted. And
they're almost.
What's that?
They're expensive.
Yeah.
They're as much as another pair of shoes, but they're grippy. That's for darn sure. So now you think of what else can damage, or what else can an inspector do that can hurt them besides everything. I've always told my clients the most dangerous thing I do inside of a home is remove the electric panel. Most inspectors try to remove the dead front cover off electric panel, something a homeowner should never do. But as a home inspector, it's something we should do that allows us to thoroughly diagnose and understand the electric distribution. And so you grab an electric panel, it's a great opportunity to have a dead short go right through your body and kill you quick. So prior to opening up any electric panel, you should test it. You should test it with some non-contact voltage leak detector. It's a small, simple little tool would make some form of audible or beacon to let you know that there's electricity loose on that cover before I touched it. You want to make sure you're not standing in water or have a problem with that. I can think of. I have this mind. In 30 years of inspecting and 15,000 plus or minus residences, I have so many of them stick out in my head. And I remember doing one up in one of the mid-northern suburbs for an agent that was a very good friend. Saw him 8, 12, 15 times a year. And I go down to the electric panel, and he's just giggling. He's a bunch of years older than me, and he's just sitting there just giggling. He goes, "Okay, Smarty, now what are you going to do?" And I'm going, the dishwasher's leaking and cascading down the electric panel.
Um,
This is how you're going to do that now, smarty. And I said, simple. I'm not.
Very simple. Take a picture and
No,
run.
yeah. Oh, this is so long ago. It was before we took pictures. Oi. But it was just simple. I was going to write on the report that as it happens, the leaking dishwasher prevented the access to the electric panel. And he goes, oh yeah, you're right. You gotta be smart about this stuff. You gotta know when to say when, right?
Yeah, a lot of what it boils down to is common sense, and just being cautious. Don't get too cocky and arrogant with with the comfort of our home, because it's the simplest little thing that can really throw you for a loop, and do some harm. So
Yeah. So I test every electric panel before I remove a screw, or even before I open up the cover. I want to that electric is just terribly dangerous. I want to make sure that before I go up into an attic, I try not to walk through attics that have too much insulation because I can't see where I'm going to walk. A, and I don't want to fall through. And B, I don't know what open electric's underneath that insulation. So you can start walking, and you step on live electricity, and you're going to know it. There has been stories out there of inspectors or clients who shouldn't be in the attic, touching live electricity, especially these older houses, where there's that old knob and tube. We have one going on this week, 1856 construction home. I saw on the calendar, and so you got to immediately step into that going, oh, I bet you a nickel it's going to have old electricity somewhere in that house. And so you got to have that heightened sense of where you're going to put your hands. You climb up into an attic, and it's like playing that game Operation. You got to try to go up in that attic without touching anything, and have your light on, because there's been times that you're going to put your hand up there to help you get up in the attic, and what you think you're touching wood, you're not. You could be touching electricity.
Yeah, the attic is scary stuff, and we'll have to have a whole episode just on attics in general, because there's a lot that can go on up there. But attics in general, yeah, it certainly can be and will be. And you're right, though. I mean, to the basic point, though, if it doesn't seem or look safe to access, if you can't get your body through there comfortably, don't go in. I did an inspection today, and it was a small, very small, 1,000-square-foot house, and the attic space, I could barely get my head through the opening. And the client asked why I wasn't getting into the space. I could barely get my head in there, let alone my shoulders. Yeah. So, there's just unfortunate circumstances that prevent you from seeing. Don't be the hero. Don't be that one that has your feet dangling from the attic space or the crawl space because you're trying to get in. You can't safely get up there. You don't want to be the one that's falling through it. So
you're right, and know your limitations. You talked about that crawl. You had the attic space. Now what about the crawl space? Sure, you can drop in, but do you think you can climb out?
Yeah.
Do you know you can press your body weight up to get out of there? What if you can't? Then use your ladder to get in. If you can't, then say you can't. There's no room. We're home inspectors. We're generalists. We're contractors, ostensibly, because we're using a contract that tells the world what we're doing. We're not heroes, and so use your gut. Let that bird that flaps in your belly tell you, hey, don't do that. Don't do that.
If you're listening to the show right now, and you're watching an inspector or you're following an inspector, if he says or she says that they cannot go into a space, don't be the one to try to go into the space, because there's obviously a reason why And your safety is just as important to the inspector as the inspector's own safety. So if it's deemed unsafe to enter or inaccessible, don't try to be the hero and do it yourself.
I had a job last month. Yeah, just to that point, I had a job last month, and it was a vacant home, and I'm going to use the air quotes, kind of flipped. I don't think it wasn't a very good one. They kind of sort of did it. Bless, in the South, they'll say, bless their heart. They tried. And they put a beautiful brand new entrance for the crawl space outside. It happened to be a pouring down, just a nasty, cold, rainy day. You could see your breath. Welcome to April in Illinois. And it is not thundering. I have my raincoat on. I go open up the hatch outside. I fall down into it. I carefully put my body down into it, and I'm about to enter laterally into the crawl space. The crawl space is about 4 foot deep. Certainly a crawl space, as a home inspector, you should be able to maneuver. But before I did, I made sure I shined my light. And the crawl space was sporty with the amount of water that was coming in, to the point, if you listen real carefully, you can hear the South Foundation percolating. That's that. And I'd come out, I go to the client, I said, I will not be going down to your crawl space. There would be nothing on this inspection that we're going to talk about floor level below. Anticipate water problems because they're there. Anticipate foundation problems. We've got rusted ductwork, and then I can't see the joists or anything else. So your step off point is here. My step off point was there. And he's like, what do you mean you're not going down there? You can take a look. And he was about ready to climb in there. I said, so his name was Joe. I said, Joe, are you 100% sure there's not loose electric laying in that water? Oh, you might be right. I said, see? So don't go down there, Joe. We go, just trust the system. Trust us. We've been there, and we're going to look out for your safety as well as my safety, because at the end of the day, I need to work tomorrow. And you need to own your house and pay for this mortgage and stuff. And it turned out it was fine. They knew what they had to do, and they got through it. But
yeah, you can't just go in blind and assume I'm just gonna free. But we all get comfortable. We get comfortable with our own homes and feel that it's like that in every house.
Complacency is really what gets everybody hurt. Whether it's thinking you can walk on that flat roof that's a little bit shiny, or you think you can climb that slanted roof in the rain because it's not raining that hard. No. Now, the one thing I don't recall, and I can't remember, and I don't think I've ever read, if there's been a plumbing problem that's ever been dangerous to an inspector other than hot, scalding water. I can't think of a safety issue when it results in plumbing. But by far, entrapment in crawl spaces, entrapment in attics, electricity issues, and falling go right up there on the top of the list. But then beyond those, what I would call touchy inspection things, falls the other safety issues. Those are heat. Those are bug bites. And those are inhalation issues. And so, or bug or snake bites or any bite. Those really become the issues. So when I see inspectors that wearing shorts, even if you're in Arizona or someplace and you're wearing shorts, you're going to be much more prone to some form of abrasion or some form of contact with something than you would be if you had full pants on, because something will hit it first, snag,
Yep.
etc. If you're going into a crawl space, wear gloves, wear knee pads. Protect those items that are hitting the ground. Wear a mask. Even far before this COVID thing, think about mouse droppings and rat droppings and rodent droppings in these spaces, and you're breathing that. We only blessed with one set of lungs, and if we start damaging them, well, you're really in trouble. Again, we need to work tomorrow. So
open that attic hatch and just shine your flashlight up and just see what good stuff is floating around, and then that gets sucked right into your lungs.
I was in a building yesterday. It was a commercial building, and you look up in the drop ceiling at all these stained tiles, and I go, "Oh, this roof's going to be horrible, horrible." You go up there, and it's a gorgeous roof. So then you start moving some of the tiles, and you see between the roof and the tiles the amount of rodent activity. So those stained tiles were not water stains.
They were urine stains.
Au contraire, that's the that's the breakdown of the waste from those rodents causing those stains. And so again, have a good mask, even beyond the standard little paper mask that everybody wears with the COVID. I mean, I have a 2-part respirator mask with the 99.9 canisters, and we've given those to every inspector in the firm. Yep. So you could be wearing those with the COVID too. It's just hot, but they're a better mask than you're gonna have than a piece of terry cloth on your mouth or a bandana. So you got to worry about that. And then I recommend inspectors keep up with their tetanus shots. Every 10 years you're supposed to have a tetanus shot. Put it on your calendar. Have something that's going to remind you that you got to have that shot done, because we get cut, we get nicked, we get punctured daily. And so to that order, I carry a first aid kit. I carry a pretty nice one, and it's for me. I'm not going to do first aid on my clients or anything else, but I have a darn good first aid kit, because I darn well cut myself all the time, and so I need to I need to tape myself up or patch myself up or something.
Yeah, and gloves are always a good thing when you're working on certain things. Maybe you're taking the electrical panel dead front cover off. Those typically tend to be sharp edged sometimes, or your furnace covers, things like that you can really cut yourself. Gloves are always a good thing. Crawling on the hot roof, protecting your hands with gloves. So there's certain aspects you want to keep your hands free, but you're right. Cutting yourself is very, very common. I carry Band-Aids and first aid kit in my truck. And I know we've given things out like that to our guys. But again, cuts are very common in this type of work.
Yeah. And then lastly, because we could do this for hours, and I know our time is limited, is as we're moving through, the year, hydration. I had 48 ounces of water with me yesterday, and it was gone before between jobs. I had to go fill up again because it was hot. So make sure you stay hydrated. Every inspector better leave their house at this time of year with a cooler, full, or thermoses full of hydration. Of some sort. Usually don't encourage soft drinks as hydration, but you know what? If that's your life, that's your life. But water, is a necessity, and
Yeah.
you're gonna burn through it, and there's no reason to be lightheaded, and your mind's not right. Now you're driving. It's just again, it's not worth it when it's so easy to take water. Now I'm not quite at the position to start bringing water into the homes. I have on really, really, really hot days buried a bottle of water in my tool bag where I sneak a drink halfway through the inspection. But on my larger commercial properties, let's say I'm going up on the roof, I actually do bring water with me because I might be up there for an hour, hour and a half, and I'm on that reflective hot roof. I need to make sure I can hydrate while I'm there, or I got to come down and take a break. If I've got the team with me, I'm constantly in communication. Hey, you need a break? Did you drink your water? Did you take care of yourself? Because that's critical. Because again, if you dehydrate and have a problem, you might not be able to work tomorrow or the next day by the time your body recovers. Dehydration issues can take days to recover. And we can go on and on how to determine if you're dehydrated or not dehydrated. But at the minimum, just drink.
Especially with the heat kicking up and vacant houses that may not have a functioning air conditioner, agents and clients and inspectors are like, just stay hydrated. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Just come on. It doesn't take much effort at all to hydrate up and be in good shape. But again, the number one on the hit parade safety is your phone. Have it in your pocket. Have a call tree. Don't do anything without letting somebody else know where you're at. No matter what you do, if even if at a minimum you go, I am going to this town, 39 miles away, somebody knows where you're at. Is good enough. Because you never know when the roll call needs to be taken.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this message gets conveyed to our local team on a monthly basis. Safety first. We do continual training and updates. Our licensure, being in a state that requires licensure, part of our CEs, mandatory and elective, do have safety in that mix. And you're right, we could talk for hours on this subject. Everything we do has some component of safety involved with it. Although we're not code inspectors, code and safety could be looked at in two different ways. We're here to just look at it from the point of safety, and we want to continue to do good things for you so you can live in your homes for long periods of time. So, Rob, what anything else for our listeners today on this fantastic topic?
I don't. Just trust the inspector. Trust the inspector. If the inspector says something is no joy, I can't go in there. Trust us because we want to do a good job, and we're just not out there to short you.
And bear in mind that everyone's got their own comfort levels with safety. Anything that we report on that is deemed to be a safety concern may or may not be at the same level you find it to be. But under the general rule of thumb of keeping the family safe, we're going to call it out every time, and we're going to act as though our lives depend on it. So with that said, that does it for episode 003 of BrickKicker, here with Rob Claus and myself, Andrew Fox, with the BrickKicker, and we will be back next week. Rob, you had something fun next week. What did you want to talk about?
Awesome.
Rob, you there? All right. So it sounds like we may have lost him, but nonetheless, the BrickKicker Inspection Services providing superior residential and commercial inspections for the last 30 years. And we're here. I'm in my truck without a mask right now during this COVID crisis. We've got means to provide our services in a new way. We're bringing to you podcasts. We're creating a YouTube channel. Go ahead and like and subscribe us there. Facebook, Instagram. We want to hear from you. What can we do to help you live better in your homes, to work and flow better in the places that you work and entertain in? So your residential and commercial needs, we can help you out. And we want to continue to bring new and exciting content and things like that that are going to really provide value, things that you may not have heard before. So let us know, and we will continue to keep kicking and bringing you fresh content. Until then, Andrew Fox, president of the BrickKicker, and we look forward to talking to you next week.